Uh, we are so happy to see everyone here for the Young Ceramics Network number 6 webinar. Today I received this honor to be host of this event. My name is Farid Salari and I'm a PhD student here at the University of Trento. Let's begin to see what's to be expected today. The webinar is including 3 sessions and is often related to the how to write a research proposal for the young researchers for a European funding. The first part is going to be launched by Mrs. Laura Paternoster. She's going to talk about a toolkit and how to write a research proposal in general way. Then Dr. Erkka Frankberg is going to talk about his personal experience for a Marie Curie funding that he received. And after all, Dr. Gert Guri is going to talk about the funding opportunities from the EIT. Before launching this webinar, Erkka is going to give a brief introduction about the Young Ceramics Network. Erkka, please.
Erkka, unmute yourself.
Yes, sorry about that. It's always a different software and different buttons to press. Okay, thank you, Farid, for the nice introduction. So I'm gonna shortly give you the latest updates on Young Ceramics Network. So you might be, many of you are already familiar about this network that we have, but I'm gonna give you sort of the latest hot topics on it. And first of all, talking about the YCN Webinar, so very nice to follow up them anywhere you like. For example, at the airport, of course they're empty now, but I'm very pleased to announce also the next webinar. So this is the 6th edition, but the next one, the 7th edition, will be having a much more international dimension. So we're going to have 2 talks on additive manufacturing from China. So Professor Zhangwei Chen is going to from Zhejiang University is going to give us a talk, and then Dr. Bonan from Huazhong University of Science and Technology will give us a talk. So this will be a very exciting topic on that. And then I'm going to announce you also the 2nd April webinar, which is going back to the Europe with prestigious talkers. So we're going to have Professor Jon Biener, who is the president of the European Ceramic Society, talking about ultra-high temperature ceramics, and then Dr. Alexander Lied, both talking more about the ceramics for extreme conditions. So please also sign into these nice webinars if you feel like they are good for you. Then the next hot topic will be the photo contest winner. So I'm very happy to announce that the latest edition of the photo contest winner, the photo is titled New Generation Thermal Insulation Material Affected by What Else? COVID-19 Pandemic Outbreak. And this is presented by the master student Can Tatlisu from Eskişehir Technical University, Turkey. And he will be getting the cash prize of 100 euros. So give a big hand to Mr. Can. And here is the picture. Very good. And we will post this picture also to all of our social media platforms, of course. I don't know about you guys, but this really sums up my feelings about the pandemic. So let's head forward. Next is the open ceramic special issue. So here is the last chance to submit. So please submit before 31st of March. And they are all submissions before that are free of the publishing charges. So this is a very good opportunity. And remember the 1,000 euro award for the best paper, which is nice. And yes, over 50 papers already submitted. So please go ahead and join in. Another thing I wanted to remind you is the ceramic world map. So you can find it from our website, theyoungceramists.eu. So if you would like your lab to be shown in the map, please send me or any other committee member information about your lab, and we will put you in the map. So we're having already some dots in Asia, in America and in Asia. We hope to have more also from Europe, Africa, South America, everywhere in the world. So please go ahead. And YCN events are very important, and we want to provide you nice events for to meet other young ceramists. And we have always prestigious talkers, how to get ERC grants, for example, or we can have you as a speaker also there. And it's about having a good time with friends. And we're very pleased to inform you that we are preparing something for you, this time online, of course, but please book 15th to 17th of June this year, and more information will be given to you as soon as possible. Then another thing I would like to promote here is the Research in Spot. So we also publish a newsletter every few months. And there's the special place called Researchers in the Spot. And we expect you to send us something to publish there. And there are 11,000 subscribers to this newsletter. So if you want your results, your research to shine, please consider this as an opportunity. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. So there's a lot of more stuff coming in. So please join Facebook, the YCN Ceramic Social Club, LinkedIn, Young Ceramics Network, also now Twitter and Instagram available. So that's it on my part. And please, Farid, you can take the lead now.
Thanks. As you can see, this network is very beneficial for us as a young researcher or PhD students to show ourselves to other researchers for a collaboration or for industry to receive some financial support. Here I want to say, please share your comments and ideas on the chat box on your right hand. You can see. For this event, I will collect your question at the end, and we will ask a question in a question and answer time. The first presentation is by Mrs. Laura Paternoster. He is the head of the research office for the Science and Technology Department of University of Toronto. She's been involved in the pre-award grant writing process at her institution since the last 7 years, mainly covering Horizon 2020 Pillar 1 and other EU programs. Her role has been to gather intelligence, to revise, to edit, and proofread proposals to submit to EU calls. She's actively involved in the ECIU network, which is a dynamic and effective European consortium of selected entrepreneurial universities dedicated to ensuring a culture of innovation and to providing a catalytic role for innovation in business and society. From June 2019 to June 2020, she acted as coordinator chair of its EU working group, where research managers and administrators from member universities working on funding support, working together to foster best practice exchange and the strategic foresight and proactive identification of funding opportunities. Before this role, she was in charge of coordinating the International Relations Division of University of Toronto. After this short introduction of our first speaker, we are glad to have her here. Please, the stage is yours.
So thank you very much, Farid. I hope you can hear me. Thanks for the introduction. It's a long one because unfortunately I'm not so young as you participants are. And it is a really pleasure for me to be here today with you, and thanks a lot for the YCN for inviting me today to share with you thoughts, idea, knowledge in the field of how to submit a proposal. It has been quite a challenge to summarize in a 20-minute presentation this topic, since we would need a 1 or 2 day training event to really go into depth about project writing. But I think this presentation could be useful for you to get to know a kind of fundamental set of tools that can help you through proposal writing, at least in the first phase when you are beginning to approach this. So let me see if I can change the slide. Can you see slide number 2? Because I cannot see that in my screen.
It's still on the first slide.
Yeah. Okay. Now you should see the second one.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. Okay. As for the content, as I said, I will give you some suggestions, first of all, about where to find information. This is, of course, very important when you start thinking of funding opportunities. And then I will give you some overarching tips. Overarching meaning tips that can be useful in general, independently of the kind of cause that you will be approaching. As Farid already said, you can write your questions in the chat and we'll be ready to answer at the end of the webinar. From my side, I can say that you will have the presentations, and in the last slide you'll find my email address. Since we'll not have time today to go into depth into each part, really feel free to write me an email should anything be unclear, or in case you need a specific personalized training, so to say. So first of all, where to find information at the EU level. I don't know if you are familiar with the funding and tender portal of the European Commission. This is a portal that was restructured a couple of years ago. And here you can find all tenders, all grant proposals of the European Commission, not only the framework, let's say the general research framework, which is now Horizon Europe, but also other kind of sub programs that are financed by either DG, so General Directorates of the European Commission. I think it's very important that you get familiar with this. Maybe not now that you are young researchers, but surely once you are more matured, because you can find here the most of the proposals here are related to collaborative proposals. So proposals that you need to write not alone, but together with other institutions within a big or small consortium. So the first suggestion is to start using the funding and tender portal to get familiar with it. You can search any opportunity by giving predefined keywords. I just picked one, like glass, ceramics, and construction material. Or you can decide to look for a program or a programming period. And you will then find on the right side of your screen all the proposals. As I said, at this stage, as young researchers, should you want to try to look something for you, you would come across just 2 options. And these would be at the level of Horizon Europe. I don't know if you are already familiar or you're starting to get familiar with Horizon Europe. This is now the research and innovation program at the EU level, the biggest one. And it will give funding to research ideas, to research projects until the end of 2027. So my first suggestion is to start reading some material about Horizon Europe, because not only now as young researchers, but also as more experienced one, you surely would like to apply to the Pillar 2 or the Pillar 3 of Horizon Europe, where you have many calls related to industrial engineering, and you would find many ways of, together with partners, to submit a proposal. Today, as young researchers, you would be involved just in Pillar 1, which is the one of excellent science dedicated to basic research, so to say, and with two actions, the Maria Skłodowska-Curie action and the European Research Council. As for the Maria Skłodowska-Curie action, Erkka, after my presentation, will give more detailed information on how he submitted a successful proposal. What I wanted to underline here is that I believe this is the very first step for a young researcher to start writing a UN proposal. And the reasons are twofold. The first one is that this is actually not really a research, let's say, research call. You have to, of course, to write a research idea, but Maria Skłodowska-Curie actions are training to research projects. So in your proposal, you do write the kind of research that you want to do, but also you describe the skills, the advanced training that at a host institution you will receive and you would like to apply. I think this is very important. Any kind of researcher can apply. So this is a so-called bottom-up program. There is only one eligibility criterion, so you can apply up to 8 years after having obtained your PhD. I put a question mark here about the 8 because the call of application 2021 is published yet. It will be published around the 18th of May. So in the draft call, we have seen that this number is indicated, but before having it published, I prefer to put a question mark. And what you can do, as I said, you do research, and at the same time, you try to acquire new skill at the hosting institution, also making a secondment in a non-academic institutions. But Erkka will give more information on how to prepare a proposal. The second option that you will find is the ERC starting grant. This is a very high competitive program. My first suggestion is if I were you as a young researcher, I would not start as first try to write a ERC grant, a starting grant. I would write before an MSTA, so Maria Skłodowska-Curie action. But I would keep the ERC in my mind for a later stage. Successful candidates are usually in their 6th or 7th year after PhD. You can see from the slides the eligibility, so who can apply to ERC are actually people that have obtained the PhD in the time frame to 7 years. And the most successful participants or candidates here are those who have a significant early achievement track record, which means have, according to the stage of their career, according to the discipline, a number of publication and participation at conferences, have international experience, etc. And I really believe in ERC starting grant. I've been supporting many young researchers in my institution submitting a proposal, because really gives you the money. We're talking about €1,500,000 to start building your own group in a 5-year time. So I think this is something that you should consider. As I said, not as a PhD student, not as a young postdoc, but at the end of, let's say, after 5-6 years after having received your PhD. Okay. At the EU level, in the sense, in the European context, there are actually many other channels where you could find information for individual grants. I have selected some of them for you. These are usually the funding channel that we propose to our young researcher at University of Trento. The list is not exhaustive, it's not comprehensive, it's just we selected some of them, and these are the one where you could apply as in the field of industrial engineering. A suggestion that I can give you is when you look for a funding opportunity, don't feel alone. Get back to the grants office or research office in your institution, because they are usually there to support young or supports in general researchers, but particularly young researchers, to find the right call for their project idea. This is what we usually do with our young researchers that come to our office. We sit with them together. They explain us their project idea, and we go and look for the best opportunity for them. Another source of information that you might already know is the EURAXIS. I wanted to mention this because I think it's crucial for our young researchers to know this website and this database. It's not really a database for grant opportunities, but it's more for jobs, mobility grants. But it is a way where you can find useful information on where to go to do an international experience. And having international experience in your CV can be of extreme importance for next calls, like we mentioned the Maria Skłodowska Curie or the ERC. Okay, now I mentioned, I go a step back. I mentioned before that we as research office, we often support young researchers. And we always tell them not to look for an opportunity before having the clear idea of their research project, because it's very difficult to have a successful project when you don't really know what to do. You just find by chance a call, funding opportunity, and you squeeze your embryonal idea into this call. This is not the way it goes, as far as we've seen, experienced. The first thing that we suggest you to do is to sit down and just write down your idea. For example, what are the challenges that I want to solve with my project? What are the problems? What are the impacts that can have my project can have? The expected results. I underline these two words, impact and expected results, because you will see in many European calls and even in calls from foundations at European level, that the impact that the project has on challenges, societal challenges, global challenges, is very important for the evaluation. So the more concrete you are in describing how much impact, positive impact your project will have, more chances you will have to have your projects retained. Then we ask usually young researchers to tell us who should care about the research. So who are the stakeholders who could benefit from it. And in individual grants like the ERC or the Maria Skłodowska Curie, we ask them to answer this question: why should the European Commission or another funding agency fund me, my research? Why in this moment? And this, to think about also the innovativity of the idea, the way how innovative ideas and project ideas should be. Then we ask them, to describe the methodology used, and in case they already know the partners, so think about the partners that can help you to build a consortium in case you go for a collaborative proposal, or the best host institution where to go as ERC or as Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. Another very important point is to think about the risks related to the project idea and the mitigation of the risk, because it's something that usually it is asked in when you write a proposal. So once you have your project idea very clear, then you go to search for the right call. As I said, let the grants offices, research offices of your host institution help you in doing that. Once you find the right call, read the call. This is a mantra, so read. At the beginning, it's crucial. I'm well aware that when you find a 40 pages guide for applicants, it can be very annoying. But there in these 40 pages, you find relevant information you need to know before knowing if that is really what you can reach. So read the aim of the call, read the discipline, because you might think that your discipline fits into that call, which could not be the case. Be aware of the deadlines to understand if you would be in time to do all the steps before the deadline. Read the eligibility criteria we mentioned before. For example, if you obtained your PhD 9 years ago, then you cannot apply for a Marie Skłodowska-Curie anymore. So you need to look for something else. Read also the more administrative issues like the financial rules. So how much money will I receive to cover what? Is there a overhead that my host institution will retain or I could use on my own? What about the IPR issues? So the intellectual property rights, who owns the results at the end of the project? Is there a joint ownership? So what about open access? So you need to know that as well, etc. Another very important piece of paper that you should read are the evaluation forms. Not in all programs are these foreseen, but they are foreseen for European Commission initiatives. There are online, they are published. You find the evaluation forms that evaluators for the Marie Skłodowska-Curie, for the ERC, for other initiatives need to fill in with questions they need to answer when reading your proposal. So our suggestion is to keep those questions, so evaluation form, to keep them when you write your proposal, because you need to know, or better, you need to help the evaluators find right away the information they are looking for. We did also some training in our institution with evaluators, and they keep saying that the most annoying thing for them, which make them also give a lower score, is where they don't find the information very easily. They need to, to turn pages to find the relevant information. And so we suggest our young researchers to feed the evaluators. So to straight away to write the information that they would be looking for. So when you're finished with the reading, of course, for those that go for a collaborative proposal, finding the best host partners is crucial, or finding also the best host institution is also very important. Then there is also the process of planning, the writing, to organize it, and to start writing. As I said before, at the beginning, our mantra is just to read. not only actually the guide for applicants, but also all related documents to the call, the documents related to the call. And very important for EU proposals is to link your proposal to policies in the field. There are many EU policies. There is an industrial policy, there is innovation policy, there is a digital policy. And depending on your proposal, I would suggest you read this policy before so that you make the evaluators understand that your proposal is linked to a specific EU policy and is in line with it, so that the results that you will have at the end may also help to reach some of the goals of these policies. And in the last 5 and 6 years, the EU policies have been also linked to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the CDGs. So another good preparation when you are preparing a proposal is to read the Sustainable Development Goals that might apply for your proposal. If you are preparing a proposal for another funding entity, it could be a foundation. Foundations usually say that they want proposals that are relevant for their policies, their regulation, the aim. So in this case, you should read the funding entity objectives, which are usually online. Of course, then plan the writing, having a clear outline of the proposal, then fix your internal deadlines, see who else can read the proposal besides you. Be careful about internal rules that might apply at your institution. For example, do you need a head of department pre-approve your proposal, or do you need to go through the grants office, research office, gather all the information well in advance so that there are no problems at the very last moment, so that you are not allowed maybe to submit the proposal. Okay, I made a screenshot here of an example of a policy that I found online about ceramics. This could also be of interest for you. Then the point is that, as I said, this is a general presentation today, but the message that I want to convey is that there are many different calls, many different grants. Some are bottom-up, so any kind of discipline can apply. Other are top-down, so you can apply your project idea, but maybe focusing on just one topic instead of a broader one. There are call for proposals that are open to legal entities. For example, in the collaborative projects, there are proposals for the individual researchers at the Marie Curie Action for doing different type of activities. All this is to say that it's difficult to have a general rule. Again, pay attention in reading very well the call once you find it. Some overarching tips when you are at the writing, in the writing process. I mentioned that before. We do believe that you always have to keep the reviewers and the evaluators in mind. You have to make their work easier, and you have to make them fall in love with your project idea. And you can do that if your text is very fluent, and of course the project idea is interesting. Another suggestion that we usually give to our young researchers is if you can, if it is possible, go online and see if there is the list of evaluators for that call, maybe in the previous years. For example, for the ERC, you find the list of the evaluators that were in the panel in the list in the year before. So also reading the names of the evaluators can give you very useful information to know your enemies, so to say, enemies that you have to make your enemies your friends when they are reading the proposals. So I think also this intelligence gathering, so this collecting information is very important. Don't underestimate that. Another suggestion that we give is when you write the project, do not write too many long sentences and not start making a history, too long preamble. Just start with a very clear message. What is the proposal about? What's the aim of the proposal? What are the objectives? And then maybe you can go into the state of the art, the methodology. But I think in the first page, you should let the evaluators understand what is the project about, what kind of objective it has. Then we say to our young researchers, use the KICs, so keep it short and simple. Again, don't use too complex sentences or too many preambles. So go straight to the point and be very precise, be clear, use the bullet points, you use tables. In most of the cases, you have a limited number of pages to fill in. And tables, for example, are very useful. I'm fond of tables because gives the idea that you are very, let's say, organized, and you can give relevant information in a shorter space. Another suggestion that we usually give is to be very concrete, in the sense to give measurable outputs of the project, to give statistics or information about preliminary data that make the evaluators understand that your project is feasible. So avoiding too much abstraction. Another thing that we suggest is to use the so-called buzzwords the evaluators like, or the evaluators are looking for. This much depends on the program. For example, for an ERC, for the Marie-Skłodowska reaction in general, for the Pillar 1 projects in Horizon Europe, you would use breakthrough science, investigator-driven science, interdisciplinary career development. So you will get used to that, but do use the so-called buzzwords into your test. Of course, use a very concise English. There are online very useful tools, grammar tools, or where you also can check the way your English is. Although we also suggest, if it is possible, to have a native speaker go through the text and make it more readable. And another very important point is ask colleagues that you trust or people that you trust to proofread the project. It's better if it is a peer, because they also can give you suggestions about the content, the scientific content of the project, and they can comment on your proposal. As research office in my institution, we do also comment and proofread the proposal, but of course we cannot do that from a scientific point of view. We just give suggestion how the proposal could better look, where to anticipate some information, etc. So you could do both. I think both is the best option. Comment from a peer and comment from an external reviewer as we can be. So if we understand a proposal as external, it means that it is well written, fluent, and also understandable more or less for people who are not in the field. Linked to this, remember that the evaluators are not necessarily a super expert in your area. So do not think that, or do not take pre-information for granted. So explain every point because they might not know anything. So be specific, but not too specific in your field. Sorry, happens to go to the other. Okay, so I have collected here some useful links for you to be updated, in the sense to find information about the policies that I was mentioning before, about updates about the research and innovation arena Europe. Then when you gather information about a proposal, about how to write a proposal, I forgot to say before that I believe that you should also go on the Cordis webpage. Cordis is a database that collects all approved and retained proposals from the European Commission. Because another interesting point is to see which other proposals in a similar area as yours or in a similar topic have been approved, and how your proposal is different from that, and which additional benefits can the proposal have. And this is also needed to convince the evaluators that even though there might be maybe 10 other proposals approved, yours focus on a different, your focus is on a different aspect of the same topic. I put here a training on Horizon Europe. It is how to prepare a successful proposal in Horizon Europe. It was web streamed yesterday and done by the DG Research. It is now online with a recording. I think this could be very interesting for you also to start getting familiar with Horizon Europe. And I put here the link to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. As I said, these are, you need to know them to write EU proposal. Then I think, and this is another suggestion that we give to our young researchers, I think that in order to write a good proposal, you need, if you can, to get involved into the process. What does it mean? There are many public consultations online done by the European Commission. So they ask citizens, researchers, governments what they think about a policy area, a legislative initiatives. And if you start reading them or also answering, you also get information that might be relevant also when writing a proposal, because you might find additional trends that are not so obvious when you're reading a call for proposal and a guide for applicants. So just take time to go to this website. You might find, I don't know, new legislative initiative on the ceramics. Just take time to also do this homework, so to say. Another good point is to work as an expert for the European Commission. For expert in evaluating the proposals. The European Commission is always looking for young people, for new people to select other proposals. I think this is a very good way to see things from the other side, and this makes also, it is very useful also when you are a writer, a grant writer. You could also work as an expert for the expert groups at the European Commission that give advices to the European Commission. I've just seen that I forgot to put the email, the web page address, and I will add it afterwards, because this is also another way to get involved in the policies and the way of thinking of the European Commission. So my suggestion is, if you can, also to be involved in these expert groups. I don't know if I ran out of time, but this is actually my last slides. As I said, you can find here my email address. So really feel free to write me an email should you need anything in particular, and I will honored and glad to answer your questions.
Thanks, Laura. It was super interesting for me. I think all of us are young researchers, and we know and learn a lot during our PhD period about the scientific aspect of our project, and we have brilliant ideas to continue our PhD in a new way. And I think this presentation opened a new horizon for us to know the different funding sources and how to receive a budget to fulfill our dreams, because I know many of my friends wanna have their own startup companies or stay at university as a researcher. Thanks a lot. And I think I should say good news here is that we go more in depth in the following webinars. The next presentation is by Erkka, who won one of this funding. Erkka is an entrepreneur and a research fellow at Tampere University, Finland. Since 2011, he has co-founded 2 startups and helped several other startups in the role of an advisor. At the European Ceramic Society, he is a founder of the Young Ceramics Network and is currently a guest editor to the Open Ceramics Journal. He obtained his PhD with distinction in 2018 in material science at Tampere University of Technology. His main academic work so far was published in the Science magazine in 2019 on the topic of room temperature plasticity of oxide glasses. And he has been granted a patent on the related manufacturing technology. As a research project coordinator, he has been granted around 350,000 euros in personal grants and over 2.1 million euros in consortium funding. In 2018, he was granted a Marie Curie individual fellowship with a total score of 97.40 out of 100, and will today give you a concrete tips on how to score well in this particular European call. Erkka, we are here to listen to you and your presentation.
Thank you, Fari. Nice introduction. So, following up to Laura's presentation, I will take heed of everything that she said. Very important things about specific things and general things about grant writing. But now I'm gonna give you more details about this specific Marie Curie funding, and I'm going to talk to you about this postdoctoral fellowship, to be exact. So this is the mini EU project for yourself, so the individual grant that you can get from the European Commission. I can get the slides to go forward. Yes, okay. So like Laura already a little bit introduced, so we're moving from Horizon 2020 to Horizon Europe. So there are some changes, but mostly minor. So I received the individual fellowship when I was applying, but if you are going to apply, you will get the postdoctoral fellowship. Plus, there are some other minor changes, but more or less the things that I will talk and also what Laura said will apply also in the future. So this is what you will be applying: the standard European fellowship and the global fellowship, depending on the location where you are at the time of the application. And the criteria are simple, and Laura already introduced them. All disciplines welcome. Thesis needs to be defended, and less than 8 years ago, etc., etc. Maybe I would like to point out this, that if it's possible for you, and depending on your career stage, also this reintegration panel and the career restart panel are something to consider because they are known to have a little bit higher success rate, but they are more restricted on the criteria. So check them out also out. But we'll talk about the standard European fellowship and global fellowship stuff now. Okay, so right to the point, how to get it. It's also very simple. You need to obtain high enough total score. And in the 2018 autumn call, for example, the threshold was 70 out of 100 points. And that translates to a roughly 10 to 15% success rate. A little bit depend on the country where you're applying from, because they make the statistics by country. So it's difficult to obtain an average number, but between 10 to 15. So if you're in the best 10%, you will get the money. And this advice in life in general, be in the best 10%. There are 3 criteria. First is the excellence. It's given 50% in the total score. So this is the information from 2018. So now in the Horizon Europe, maybe some small changes, but in general, this is how it goes. Impact is the second criterion with 30% weight, and then the implementation 20%. So this is it in the simplest form. But now we would move forward to check more closely in the details of all of this. Now, when you finally get to submit a paper and you follow the instructions given you by Laura, and you submit it successfully, everything is fine, then this is something that will pop into your email one day giving you the result of the evaluation. This is the proposal evaluation form, and this is the summary part of first. So it gives you the basic information about your call, the type of action, the proposal acronym, so forth. And it gives you where are you going, what is the institute, the course, the grant, and the abstract, of course. Nothing special. But then it gives you the total score straight away, and it basically you see there already if you did it or not. Now, if you take the scoring board here, this means that basically you have to score around 4 points from each of the criteria in order to get past this threshold. So the application in average has to be very good in this scale. Okay, so I'm going to go through my evaluation and highlight some of the parts there that I think are very important in order to get through in this call. And these are something supplementary to what Laura already said. So first of all, you see the score per criterion here, the score and then the threshold and the weight of the score. And then what is important is that you see the questions that the reviewers are asking from you and giving the scores to. And then below that there will be strengths and also possibly weaknesses that they will list for you when they see if it's a good or not. So let's highlight something. First, a very general point that Laura is talking about a lot is this one, and this is general to all applications. You know, the quality, the credibility of the research, you know, the good stuff. This is the application to build up a story that really sells your idea, and this is my. It's very difficult to do precisely. You have to learn many applications to be good at it. But my tip is to tell a story. Start from the introduction. Tell what is already known in literature. Then point out what is not known. What is the next step, and that you're gonna take the next step forward. You're the right person to take that step. So be coherent. Take one step at a time and tell a story. Like Laura said, make it easy for the reviewer. Now the second point here in the excellence is totally specific to this call, and it's part of it. Laura also mentioned this already, that it's a training program. So quality of the training and quality of the supervision. And there are 3 different comments in the strengths section, like this is really something that the reviewers will check. Whether you are able to transfer, for example, this 2-way transfer of knowledge between the researcher and the host. So you really need to give to the team that you're joining something new, something they don't have yet, and which will complement their existing skills. And then the other way, the team that you're going to will give you something that will that is totally new and will enhance your career and give you tools to be a researcher also in the future. So the other point is, this is a training, and you really need to answer this carefully. Then let's go to the emails. I'm just going to raise a few very important points since time is limited. Now, here again, the first question is enhancing the future career prospects of the researcher after the fellowship. Again, it's a training program. They really want to know also what you're going to do after the program. Are you going to be a researcher or a company or whatever it is? It should be the application should point out that this benefits your future career in some ways. Okay, but then a more general point. So this is very specific again to this call, but then this is very general. Then to all of the EU calls is the exploitation, dissemination, and communication. And everybody has to answer these questions. So my main message here is to differentiate. Everybody will publish a paper. I think you should write that you will publish in the Nature. And if you communicate your results, you should think out of the box, talk face to face to people, have a science cafe at the city, go to the local high school and speak to the students. I mean, this is where you really need to show yourself as a sort of special character, somehow doing something different. Then last is the implementation. Again, you see the questions here. So now again, I think the main point is just tell a story, being coherent. Now you already explained that you will change the world, but now you have to explain how I'm going to do that, and you have to be clear. And this is very important. I like when Laura said, feed the reviewer. Now you have all of these questions, then you just answer all of them in a very coherent manner without any jargon or any abbreviations, because you don't know who is going to read your. So that is written simply and clearly. And this is a minor point. So if you manage to make a diamond out of the excellence part, this is just explaining how you will do it. So not taking too much. And maybe a last point I want to sort of point out here is the selection of the panel. I think this is of utmost importance. So I selected, for example, I study ceramic thin films, but I went for environmental and geoscience panel. Why did I do that? Well, I think I was the only one working on that topic, which is very important. I don't have so much competition if I'm not going to the chemistry panel or the physics panel, for example. And this is what I really did. I did clean exploration and exploitation of natural resources. I did clean technologies, and corrosion, ceramics, and thin films. They are only they are not the main point. They're only the vessel of how I'm gonna get the results through. But think about a larger picture, and think about if you could match to if you could again differentiate yourself by choosing a panel which is not so obvious, if I would say. Yes, and the last, yes, differentiate again. And so I was trying to think so common nominators for of all the tips here, and sort of the main 3 points. And I think this is it. Remember, it's a training program, so you have to be very precise and careful when answering these questions. They will look through them, and they will score you according to what you write about this. So remember this one, and tell a story. Be coherent. Be feed the reviewer. Give him what he asks, and this is a way to in general write good applications. And differentiate. There's going to be around 15,000 other applicants when you submit an application to a Marie Curie call. 15,000. So you really have to produce something that is different from all the others in order to reach the 10%. Not maybe all the others, but at least to the point that you reach the 10%. So that's my main message. So thank you, and I think the questions and answers were after the last presentation. So I'm happy to answer if you have any.
Thanks, Erkka, for sharing your experience. I really did enjoy to know how did you succeed to win this win this funding. Actually, it is a title by itself.
Thanks,
To continue our presentation today, there's other chances to receive some funding sources. Dr. Gert Guri is a coordinator of the E&E component in the EIT Digital Education Program. His main activities are teaching and mentoring on innovation and entrepreneurship with teams of students, paying particular attention to cultural interaction and professional complementarities as key element of team dynamics in various KICs activities such as EIT raw material, EIT urban mobility, EIT climate, and etc. He focused on introducing a T-shaped approach in the technical-oriented teams of students or professionals. There's a quote by himself. I'm used to saying to my students that the most important capacity is to be able to innovate the proper self throughout your professional life. And in that, I remained a clear example myself. I have started as a journalist and innovated myself to an I&E teacher. Moreover, he always liked to challenge his students, not only in mentoring, but also in playing soccer and volleyball. And I can confirm Gert is excellent in the beach volley. Gert, we are here to listen to you.
You are muted. You are muted, Gert.
Gert, can you hear me? Can you please unmute yourself?
It's done, Gert.
Okay, thank you. Okay, great. So I'm going to share again. Do you see my screen in full presentation? Okay.
Yes, it's clear.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm starting first of all providing a couple of real understandable words to what we have been using as slang. We are used to it, but I suppose not many other people are doing it. So EIT stands for European Institute of Technology, and KICs, the well-known KICs, are stand for Knowledge and Information Communities. Practically, what is the idea behind is that in 2008, the European Commission and the European Institute of Technology decided to address some of the principal challenges that our society is facing, and so they identified that the best way to challenge the best way to address these challenges relates on the cooperation of the triangle of innovation. So bringing together research, education, and companies, industrial partners. So you have nowadays many different KICs because these are the, let's say, the key areas identified by the European Commission as the ones that need to be addressed by these communities of researchers, universities, and companies coming together. EIT Digital is one of them. There are many others like raw materials, like climate, like urban mobility, and so on. Manufacturing is another one. So the question here is that what I'm going to explain in a minute is typical for EIT Digital. It doesn't change much in the other KICs, but each KIC has its proper tailor and the way how the financial support is distributed and is offered to different beneficiaries. Now, first of all, very quickly, which are the principal opportunities that EIT Digital offers is the Innovation Factory. I will explain that. It's the EIT Digital Doctoral School, and there is the EIT Digital Accelerator. First of all, we have to make a preamble here and explaining that in the KICs usually, with the exception of the EIT doctoral schools, you move from being a simple researcher. So the focus here, the idea behind, is to bring you from research to the market. So you come up thanks to the support you receive as a startup, as an accelerator, or a spin-off out of your university. But the point is bring the research to the market. So this is the focus of the financing, and that's why it's complementary with what Laura and Erkka mentioned earlier. So now, what is Innovation Factory about? The Innovation Factory consists on support that is offered to research groups. They could be university students coming together. They could be a group of researchers working on a project idea. And this is for a period of 12 months. It may be what we define as pre-incubation. So bringing you from the deep research into a venture or to a capital who is going to support you, to provide financial support for bringing you to the market, or to create what we call the MVP, so the minimum viable production. It sounds a wonderful word, but what it means is give a clear example of what you are doing, which can be touched or which can be seen by who is going to support financially in the future. Another way to do it is scale-up acceleration. So we bring you from a venture to a dominant industry player. The scale-up is the second stage after the pre-incubation. If pre-incubation brings you from research to have a product or service, the scale-up acceleration brings you from this product service to the market. So you are a market player from this point on. These activities receive a financial co-investment package, which has to do with your technology, which supports you in providing customers or attract potential investors on your idea. So the financial support that you receive from the EIT Digital is 60%, and this is for all the KICs regardless, while 40% is co-financing rate. Okay, don't get afraid of this 40%. It may very well be the hours you are working on it. It may be very well the time that your supervisor is working on it. So anything that you quantify, you can quantify in money, can constitute this 40%. Doesn't mean that you have to contribute financially 40% of the money. And the eligibility, all the institutions from EU countries and those benefiting at larger scale from H2020 and now 2021 program, all of them are eligible. So if you are working at one of these universities, you are eligible to participate in this call for application. And it's important here, next call will open on 6th of April. So it's just around the corner, and you may have more information in this link here. I'm not going to explain in detail how it works. There is a template. You will apply for that online. But as Erkka mentioned earlier, and Laura as well, try also here stands the same. Try to tell a story which is convincing, which is unique, and which makes them falling in love with your idea. Now, here are briefly some of the topics. I'm not going into details on that. We'll share the presentation afterwards, but it's digital tech, digital industry, digital well-being, and this is more related to considering also the nowadays situation, digital cities, and digital finance. So these are the main areas under which your project, and these are then you'll see in details more specifications for each area where you can present your proposal. However, if you do not see yourself here in this in any of these topics or in the list, in the specific list, don't get discouraged. You may not be entitled for EIT Digital, but you may be entitled for EIT Raw Materials, as much as you may be also entitled for EIT Climate, and so on and so forth. So consider it's important for you to understand that yes, there is an EIT KICs opportunity out there. Now, in a more classical example, you have the EIT Digital Doctoral School. In any KIC, you have an EIT school, doctoral school. So in case of the EIT Digital, you have the doctoral training centers, and these are the main cities where they are situated. What does that mean is that in these places where you have also the university, there is a cooperation between the EIT Digital and universities to offer you not simply a PhD program, but much more than that. They offer you an EIT certificate, which means that on the top of the technical knowledge, you also receive knowledge which has to do with I&D, another sort of slang, which means innovation and entrepreneurship. So the idea is that you are not only, you are a T-shaped engineer or a T-shaped expert. You don't have only the technical background, but also business-wise ideas. And this doctoral training center are focused on the innovation focus areas, which we saw before. So which are the principal focus activities of the EIT Digital. And then students participate in the EIT Digital Doctoral School, fulfilling this criteria. Again, is nothing more complex than a simple PhD. It's just that maybe also fun, add on the top of the PhD technicality, also the innovation entrepreneurship opportunity. The Doctoral Training Center support both students and also supervisors in order to create, to offer creative environment. So it's like, okay, how to get in contact with companies, how to get in contact with research institutes, offering a vast network of industrial and research partners. So it's important that DTC also ensures that the business partner participate in the mentoring of each doctoral student. The idea is to, from the beginning, from the initial part of the doctoral work, create to the students also the mindset that, okay, I have an opportunity to do something out of it. So I'm not the simple researcher that comes up with a paper and somebody makes millions out of this paper. I am the one who is able to see whether the idea has some potential behind, so I can exploit it myself. We also, the DTC also offers the opportunity to support students in entrepreneurial efforts, which means that if some of them are keen to further develop their research, so they are offering financial opportunities by contacting potential investors, business angels, and so on. So the digital summer schools have candidates following two specific schemes. The first one is the, let's say, the traditional doctoral school. So you get in the EIT Digital School, at one of the training centers and universities, and you are following a university PhD program. And the second one is EIT Digital Industrial PhD program. And this is slightly different from the previous one. In the previous one, you are 100% financed by the EIT Digital for attending your PhD program. In the second one, the scholarship is split into, is halved into two between the industrial partner and EIT Digital. And obviously, as industrial partners are covering some of your scholarship, they would also ask you in return to focus particularly on the topic of their interest. Okay, so if in the first case scenario, it's up to you and your supervisor to decide for the topic of your PhD program. In the second scenario, most of the time, the industrial partners have already decided which would be the topic. So when you apply for this PhD program, you know which is more or less the area in which you are going to specifically orient your PhD research. So all eligibility, all students who possess a master's degree in a relevant area are allowed to participate. And the next call is in that link, in this link here. So please keep an eye on that as well. Now, the last thing, or the third opportunity, but this is slightly a different one. So it's not that you receive money from the EIT Digital, actually it's you who are paying money to the EIT Digital. And when I'm saying paying money, it's not you out of your pocket, obviously, but it's the institutions you are working with that is supporting the sort of let's say explanations, network, and all the benefits that you may get from the EIT Digital framework. So now what we do here is that this is a tailor-made growth to support you. So you are yet in the third stage of your development from the research to the market. So they are offering you access to European markets now and to finance. These are the principal services. I'm not going to mention all of them for question of time, but it's important that once you approach this program of the EIT Digital, you may have the opportunities for international customer funding and scale up internationally, because as you'll see later on, there are over 500 network partners. So as I said, it's offered upon payment. So most probably you have to ensure some financial support before approaching it. And again, even here, the eligibility criteria, all countries benefiting or used to benefit from age 2020, now 2021. And here are some of the services. In particular, they offer access to finance and also coaching to investment readiness. So they would be able to say to you whether your idea is ready to ask for investment or further support is needed. They are organizing meetings with potential investors for you. They are also offering you exclusive events to present your idea so that you may have good opportunities of financing. And all that is based in a network of around 300 plus international partners. And these are from business angels to industrial companies. I mean, to mention some like Philips, Deutsche Telekom, and so on and so forth. There are around 300 industrial partners and 20 top European universities in concerning the EIT digital topics. Okay, so that's all from my side. You can see more here in this link. It's open, available, but as I said, this is only a slice of what EIT KICs offer. Okay, so it's important that you go first in the EIT website and then see which are all the EIT KICs and identify the one that better suits to your profile for further research and conduct the application there. Okay. All right, I think that's all on my side. I hope I was on time.
Thanks, Gert. It was a super amazing presentation. Although this webinar took more than 1 hour, I think nobody feels tired. We did enjoy a lot. I myself feel full of energy to work more to receive some of these funding sources. Now I go through...
Can I just add information about the Marie Skłodowska-Curie action that was mentioned by Erkka before? Just
Sure.
For everybody, just to know that the same evaluation criteria will apply also for Horizon Europe. So there will be 50% for excellence, 30 for impact, and 20 for implementation, just as Erkka was mentioning.
Thanks, Laura, for your comment. I think we have 9 minutes to answer questions here. Kimia Javan asked if you know any funding sources from one UK. It's called NERC, Natural Environmental Research Council. Do you have any information about this funding source?
Well, we would need to go and look for that, who is eligible and what kind of support they give. So not at this moment, but we can go and look for that. I have not received any requests in this sense from researchers in my institution, but I will go and look.
Okay.
Usually money is given to go to work for, of course, at UK institution.
Yeah, maybe based on this new regulation is more limited now. Omer Yücel had a question about receiving a PhD chance to continue his career, and I think he received good information from Gert. Gert, do you have any advice to Omer? He want to work on UHTCs.
Okay, UHTC stands for?
Yes, maybe ultra high temperature ceramics, probably.
Okay.
Guess.
Okay, great.
But maybe the main point is that he reads a lot of articles, and it's very hard to find a unique topic. So what is sort of how either aim on smaller chances with my work, or have more general point of view on my research proposal. Maybe I can say something if you don't mind, Gert. So I think
Absolutely.
this is at the essence of scientific work. The best researchers come up with the best question. I think this is the key point always. And you're onto it. Like, it's very difficult to find an answer that is not yet, or a question that is not yet answered. I mean, this is extremely difficult nowadays. There are more researchers than ever in the world, and also in your field, I'm sure. So, I don't know what would be the best advice, but I would just advise you to press on and think out of the box. I mean, don't follow what others are doing, but try to find your own way. I think this is the only possibility.
Mario asked a question about if there is a chance for cultural heritage funding from Marie Curie, and I think Erkka did answer on the chat box. Do you have any more comments about different topics on Marie Curie application?
Where's the question for me? Sorry. No.
Someone asked, is there any chance to apply for Marie Curie on different various topics? In Mario Bandiera case, it's archaeological science. Is it possible for him to
Yes,
apply
it is
this?
open, so any discipline can apply. So they just need to choose the panel. In this sense, it will be the social sciences panel, and they can apply. So there are no restrictions in terms of discipline for applying for a Marie Curie.
We are out of questions in the chat box. I think.
May I, Farid, just add something about, if possible, for the PhD
Sure.
applications. So I would like just to add here that in case of the EIT KICs, you would like to definitely think out of the box, because in your project proposal, what is evaluated is not only the technical solution or the, let's say, research question that you are coming up with, but it's also fundamental to show that there is a clear need in the market. So nowadays, you have to focus the research not on what is nice and what is simply interesting in terms of abstraction, but what the market needs. And obviously, working in this field, you are better equipped than, I don't know, somebody working in philosophy or in social sciences or whatever. So try to come up also with an opportunity to show clear opportunity for market expansion of what you are proposing, because it'll extremely increase your chances for getting approved.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Square, to adding this. Is there any more comments to wrap up this webinar today?
Sorry, I see there is a question about ERC starting grant. Somebody is asking if there will be a call in autumn. The answer is yes. The call, the spring call has been published now. But the idea of the ERC is to have the same planning as in Horizon Europe. So the next call for starting grant will be published in autumn 2021. So this year we will have 2 calls, that is to say.
Thanks a lot. I don't know how much time we have more, maybe just another 3 minutes. I would like to ask a question of 3 of you. One big question in my head is how much research proposal is connected to the end user? How much it is important that the project we write the proposal making big money or a money at the end?
I can start because in our case it's 99.99%. So.
And writing EU applications is that money is always involved. So if it's a EU call, you have to tell something about this.
Yeah, the turnover should be important, and how we can know this kind of information that because all of us now are limited with a research topic. We cannot change our research now, and sometimes our research are very pure to the scientific fact, edge of knowledge, and sometimes it's more about doing something related to the business. But in both cases, how we can understand the writing a research proposal, in the proposal, the information are included.
If I can say, I don't really understand what you mean with a proposal that makes a lot of money. Because research proposals usually you ask for money to the funding entity to do the research, and the output can be different. So in those proposals, in those calls where you need to maybe at the end commercialize a product, then you have to prove that, of course, you will patent something and you will have an enterprise you work with that will commercialize this output. But many calls are really for basic research or research at the first stages of, let's say, validation. So in that case, the money is not so important, if I understand well your question.
Yeah.
So you don't need to say that you will patent something. You just need to say that you will reach some goals.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Lara, quick question. Is there a sustainability sort of section? Because this sustainability section in any project proposal is the nightmare of everyone. So
no, there is the so-called impact and feasibility. So
okay.
you have to make it clear that the project is really not just words written on a paper, but it's feasible. So you have preliminary results you can rely on. You are presenting statistics that you already. I mean, it is feasible. What you're doing is feasible.
Okay. So here you have part of your answer, Farid.
Yeah, I got it. Thanks a lot for your help.
Yeah. And I have a very
ask the right question.
I have a personal comment, just, it's a funny thing, because I see Ömer is talking about 3D printing of something. And sometimes you don't see in advance what you can do with your research. So you see this ring?
Yeah.
This is made 3D, in 3D. And this is made out of, I don't know, I know the sintered polyamide, sintered something. So it's, so I mean, maybe in 5 years ago, nobody thought of having these jewelers, which are not so expensive, you know. And so maybe this is an idea that came to somebody to use this polymer to do jewelry. So, you know, just a comment. Maybe you don't know in advance you are a master student. Is that the question for the master student? And maybe during your PhD, following what you really like, which is this UHTC, maybe you find a direction that now you cannot even imagine. So this is my suggestions to follow what you most like.
Yeah, same as Gert. He has started as a journalist. Now he's here.
Exactly. Exactly. You see, you need to adapt. Okay, innovation starts from yourself. So I mean, anyone that finished a PhD is focused on a niche. We all know that. We are expert in those 0.2 square millimeters of the science of the branch we have been conducting the PhD. So you have to adapt from that point on. Nobody, I mean, not everybody will be interested in those same 0.25 square millimeters. So you have simply to adapt. And use the PhD for what it is, you know, the capacities it brings you, the capacity of research, the capacity to bring forward arguments, the capacity to hold and discuss, understand questions, have reasonable answers. So all that is a huge long-term investment.
To wrap up this event, I want to thank all the audiences for participating to this webinar. Actually, I hope we find a chance to meet each other in person. But also, this webinar is cool because I can see with just investing a short amount of our time, we can achieve huge information. 2 years ago or sometimes ago, we should participate personally, at least stay for 1 day in a place to participate in a conference. Now everything through our cell phones during the work, just listening. Maybe it's double aspect. By the way, thanks all for participating. I will pass the stage to the Nicola and other friends.
Yeah, thanks for participating.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for the speakers.